Hey, my lovely goal-getters. Welcome to the Moms Making Money Show. I'm your host, Amie Pederson, business mentor and confidence coach for the emerging boss mom. It's my mission to help amazing women just like you up-level yourself and your business because you are meant for more than wiping boogers and folding laundry. I'm also a wife, mother, urban farmer, influencer, green juice enthusiast, and an unapologetic lover of cowboy boots. I can't wait to help you grow your business by sharing my tips, tricks, proven business strategy, experience, and incredible guests. Hang on tight and enjoy the show. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends and educational partners, HoneyBook. HoneyBook is an amazing service for creatives, visionaries, coaches, and business owners just like us. And the best part about HoneyBook, they're super easy to use, they're so super affordable, and they even come with a contract template specified to the type of industry that we're in that we're free to use and send to our clients. So basically what HoneyBook does is it helps automate the onboarding process. So I use this process for any one-on-one clients. I use this process for my mastermind clients. I use this process for events. This is something I use for everything other than like a self-study course. Anything that I want them to be able to have a payment plan for, and also to, if there's any kind of contractual agreement. So a lot of times you'll want somebody to sign a contract for your terms of use, your terms and conditions, and the terms of your agreement with one another. So this makes it super easy. So when you get somebody to sign up with you and they're like, heck yeah, I'm all in. Where do I sign up? Where do I start? You just get their email address, you enter in their custom program, or you can save a template if you have one that's always the same price, always the same contract. And you just basically fill in their information, fill in the price, create their custom payment plan if they are paying in full or if they're paying weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, like on specified dates, whatever that looks like for that particular client. You send it over once, and what it does is it sends them a proposal so they can see everything beautifully lined out. Then they can sign the contract and make their first payment. It's so simple. They can do it from their email box or from their phone in a matter of moments. And then everything is good to go. You're in compliance. You're all, ready to go with your contract, and everything is started right away. You can also set up follow-up emails. You can also set up what they call brochures, and you make beautiful introductions to your programs, to your courses, and to whatever it is that you have to offer. And these can be customized in so many different ways so that they are on brand with you. And the cool thing about HoneyBook is they have offered all of you guys 50% off for the entire first year. So this is one of the best bargains I think I've ever encountered. So to get this, you can actually start with a free trial, no credit card required, which I love. And but trust me, you'll love HoneyBook. So then if you're ready to get started, you just sign up. So if you want to get that 50% off, make sure you use our code. It's in the show notes, but it's share.honeybook.com/Amie, AMIE 935. So just click back over into the show notes if you want that, or it is share.honeybook.com/Amie 935, and that will secure your 50% off an already amazing low price for the entire first year of your subscription. I hope that you guys have a wonderful experience with HoneyBook. I know that I have. It's been a staple of my business, and it's been such a joy to use. Welcome back, everybody. I have the amazing Trinity Scott. She is the owner of T3 Bookkeeping with us today. And if you guys have ever listened to me before, I always talk to you guys about how important things like paying your taxes and keeping track of your business expenses and investing into your future, how important all of those things are that pretty much nobody else talks about. So I wanted to bring you guys somebody who can talk to you guys about the value of making sure you're keeping track of your bookkeeping accurately and what that means for your business, as well as being a business owner herself and all of the fun and twists and turns that go along with that. So Trinity, tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming a business owner of this bookkeeping service.
Well, thank you, Amie, first of all, for having me on your podcast.
Of
And
course.
so actually my story is I don't know, maybe it's not that unusual. So I graduated from college with an accounting degree. And my while I was in college, my husband was enlisted in the Navy. And so about the time he got out, I was graduating, and we still had a couple of years because he had to finish his degree, but we were ready to start a family. We had been married, by the time he got out of the Navy, we'd been married about 5 years, and we were, that was the direction we were heading. And so that, and then also the fact that accounting departments in colleges generally push, so you're gonna get your accounting degree, you're gonna study for the CPA exam, sit for the CPA exam, and then you're gonna go to work for one of the big four accounting firms, and you're gonna live in a big city, you're gonna work for them in their office, you're gonna be there 60 to 80 hours a week during tax time, and this is just how life is. And so I was not excited about that by the time I graduated with my degree. So I actually said, I don't want to be an accountant. We're gonna move back to this small town that I grew up in, and there's no big four firm nearby or anything. So I'm just gonna find other things to do. And so I didn't really work in the accounting field when I first graduated from college. And my husband was going to school, and then he graduated and he got a job, but we stayed in the small town. And so after a couple of years, we got pregnant, had our first child. And I ended up, we finagled our finances, and living in a small town, cost of living is pretty low. So I was actually able to stay home with my kids for 11 years as just a stay-at-home mom. And we ended up having 4. So we have 4 children. And so about the time the youngest was 3, which was 2016, we started looking at our finances, and we wanted to build a house because we had outgrown the house we were in with 4 kids. And I was like, well, I need to add something to our finances. I need to do something to contribute. And so this is kind of odd. My sister added me to a Facebook group called Being Boss. It was very popular for a while, and they've since shut the group down. I guess the ladies decided to go in a different direction with things. But so I was in there, with all these entrepreneurs. I was kind of looking around, reading the posts, what can I do from home? Because we can't afford daycare for 4 kids and
Right.
Everything. And so there was a lady who posted, she wanted a virtual assistant. And so I sent her my resume, and she looked at it and said, well, I'm going to hire this other person as my virtual assistant, but I see you have an accounting degree. Have you ever heard of Xero? And this is Xero with an X, Xero. And I was like, no, actually, I've never heard of that. But if you give me a minute, and I looked it up and I started looking around. And so what Xero is, it's not as popular in the U.S. yet. They've been in the U.S. market since about 2006, 2007, but they're a competitor to QuickBooks online. And so I ended up getting certified as an advisor with Xero, and going to work for her as her bookkeeper. And so that's how I started my business. She was super great about kind of working with me, that I could, I learned a little along the way. Her books were behind. She actually, her business is really interesting. She's a beekeeper, and she teaches people how to keep bees, and then she she's in the Austin, Texas area in the city, and she has hives all over Austin. And so you can get honey from her from your neighborhood where you live in Austin. So it's hyper local honey,
Yes.
And right. And so, so she had, so much going on running around with doing the actual business of her business that she didn't have time to do her books, and she didn't have time to keep up with her receipts. And, she didn't have time to do all these things that are important, for running a business, but you can't make money if you're not doing your business, So that's what I ended up doing for her is, she hired the virtual assistant to help her with a lot of her invoicing and things like that. But I do the books. I keep Xero updated for her. I keep her straight, really her assistant actually pays bills for her, but I'll be in there and I'll be like, hey, this one's still, outstanding. We got this, but it hasn't been paid yet. And then I keep them in check, and then like, hey, these invoices haven't been paid yet. What's going on with these customers, and then all the other behind the scenes things about taking payments, working with Square, and she's used a platform called Rerun for subscriptions, which now we've switched over to using Stripe almost exclusively for our subscription billing, and different things like that. So, but that's how my business got started, and that was back in 2016. So I've been in business almost 3 years now, and I've added other clients. I have about 10 clients now. So I'm still not super huge. I'm still working on my business as well, but it has really progressed.
I love that. And I love that it's something new. So I use QuickBooks, but I'm going to definitely look into this Xero.
Right.
Because I'm always trying to tell my clients an affordable way to keep track of their finances, because it's so important. So they don't get in trouble at tax time. And a lot of people don't want to pay a bunch of money when they're not bringing in a bunch of money. So right now I give them like a spreadsheet where they can track their income and expenses, and it's like set up to kind of give them an overview and give their CPA an overview.
Right.
But something that once you're starting to earn money, that's kind of, I don't know, it's almost like your own little accounting assistant, I feel like.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
A big deal.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about bookkeeping. And because you have an accounting degree,
mm-hmm.
and you can kind of put all those pieces together. You guys, obviously we know that accounting is like the last thing people love to talk about, but it is the most important part of your business, you guys. I mean, besides working with your actual customer, keeping good accounting is so crucial.
Definitely.
I don't care if you're earning $10,000 a year or $10,000 a month. Like, you don't want to get hit with like this big, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had to pay taxes on this money.
Right.
Like, be prepared, but also knowing what's going to be a potential tax deduction or write-off or something that can help offset some of what you would have to pay out. So all those things are real important without getting like too into like accounting 101. Tell us a little bit about kind of what you do and why it's so important.
Basically, we keep I keep track of not only your outgoing money, like what you're spending your money on as for apps or for inventory or payroll, depending on your type of business, but also, what money is coming in, who has paid you, who you've invoiced that hasn't paid you. That can be almost as important as what you have been paid.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just keeping all those things in an orderly fashion so that, you can do reports at the end of the month, not only to look at your profitability or where you're spending your money or where it's coming in from the most. Like she has this particular client that I've spoken about. She has several different revenue streams. So we're tracking those to see, what's most profitable, where she should spend the most time on these different projects, things like that. So those reports, everything is already organized, so you can just pull those reports at the end of the month so you can look at that important data like that. But then also it helps, if you have everything organized, for instance, sales tax, depending on how much money you make during the year in the state of Texas, you either have to pay sales taxes monthly or quarterly.
Right.
And then if you don't have a lot of taxable, as far as sales tax goes, income, it could be annually, but usually it's monthly or quarterly. And so having all of that organized so that, you're not playing catch up at the end of that period and taking, it doesn't take you 2 days to figure out how much sales tax you owe. You're just able to pull that report. It's already there in place for other purposes, for tracking your profitability, for other things. And then you just pull that report and it takes you, 5-10 minutes to pay your sales tax bill. Or just to file the report. Like most of my services aren't taxable because I'm a service provider, but I still have to file a Xero return.
Right.
So just having that information at your fingertips. And then also, like, for instance, for income taxes, now, I'm not a CPA. I don't actually file taxes for people, but I do work with their CPAs and their accountants in order to have that information at their fingertips when they're ready to file their taxes each year, to have everything divided out, categorized properly. This expense is written off at this amount, and you can write this off at 100%, but this is only 50%.
Right.
So we have it all categorized. So, and then that will save you money also, because generally, a CPA is going to charge a higher rate per hour than, say, I will. So, if you have it organized throughout the year, you're not taking, a big stack of receipts and dumping them in your CPA's lap and saying, deal with this, and then they're charging you by the hour to fix all that mess, and then you have a big accounting bill at the end of the year. So
yeah, nobody wants to be like hit with like a $30,000 or $40,000 accounting or tax bill. Definitely not.
Right. Definitely.
So one thing that I think is great about having, a quote unquote freelance bookkeeper is that most people think, oh my God, I can't have a bookkeeper because I can't afford to have somebody in my employment full time to keep track of these things. And I feel like outsourcing that to an expert like you, the best part about that is you don't necessarily have to be on their payroll 40 hours a week. You can get in there and get out of there pretty dang quick.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I like to have an ongoing relationship with my clients, but what you would pay me generally is not nearly what you would pay somebody in-house, 40 hours a week, with all the costs that come along with having an employee. You don't have benefits you have to pay. You don't have unemployment insurance. You don't have all of those types of things.
Right. And if they're a small enough company, it might be just a few hours worth of labor each week, or however you have it packaged up, right? As opposed to, well, it's, and accountants, in-house accountants, they are not inexpensive. So
Right. Definitely.
So I like to think about this type of investment as, something that is actually less scary, because you're able to service multiple companies instead of being like, all right, I'm here 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, which is obviously what you're not trying to do.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's why I started my business the way I did, because I want to be able to help those small businesses. And obviously, with 4 kids, I can't always be in the office, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So with my own business, I can kind of work around those, dentist appointments, doctor's appointments, school hours, my son's in marching band, his practices, things like that. So I actually just came back from convention that Xero has. We went to the, they call it XeroCon, so original, but
I love it.
So, and we just came back, and one of the statistics they put up was in the slideshow. They've done research, and they say that 50% of all businesses, small businesses, fail in the first 5 years, and the number one cause of that failure is a cash flow issue. But then the last stat they shared with us was that 85% of small businesses that are working with an accountant on Xero survive for more than those 5 years. So so just being able to track, to track those numbers that are so important to your business. And another feature that Xero has that really helps with cash flow is automatic invoice reminders that you can turn on. And you can, it help if your client doesn't pay you by the due date, you can customize emails and it sends it out automatically. It says, this was due on the 14th, and it's 2 days late, and it's just a reminder to them that they need, that it's due. And then another key feature of Xero, when you do your invoicing in Xero, the Pay Now button that is included on invoices, you can use Stripe or PayPal or various payment processors to get paid. But that Pay Now button, like, they get the email with the invoice. All they have to do is click on that link, open the invoice, and click that Pay Now button, and you pay that bill just like in a few minutes, and it's right there in front of you, so you don't have to like think about it and be like, oh, I got to find an envelope and a stamp and a check. Everything is digitized, and tech, the tech is blowing it out of the water now. So, and there's no reason that a small business shouldn't have that same technology, to use just like the big guys.
So I have a quick question with that. I'm trying to think what my actual question is. Does it integrate with, well, I know what I'm trying to say, but I wasn't sure how exactly to get it out so everybody who's listening knows what the heck I'm talking about. Does it integrate with like your credit cards and with your PayPal and all that stuff so that the content just kind of uploads in like QuickBooks does? Right. Yes. It's very bank feed based. So if your bank, now I do have one client who's banks at a small local credit union, and their bank feed, they do not have bank feeds. Like, no matter what program you're using for accounting, they don't have bank feeds. So nice. It does depend on your bank, but for the most part, Xero has a connection with most of the bigger banks, the common, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I've set up bank feeds for my local bank here. I use a credit union that's a bigger credit union. It works great with them. But it is kind of still it's a case by case basis. But when you have that connection, you connect it, the bank feeds flow in. You can
keep track of your spending, categorize things. It just helps you really stay on top of it. And then the other app that I use for all of my clients, like it's not even an option. If you're my client, we're using this app. It's called Receipt Bank.
Okay.
And so you have an app on your phone, is one way to submit. You download the app, you open it up, you take a picture of your receipt, and you hit submit. That is it. That is all you have to do. And it flows into Receipt Bank. I look at it and I push it into Xero, categorized properly. And then as it comes through the bank feed, you just reconcile that transaction. And it's not only is it reconciled, you're keeping on top of your expenses, you have everything categorized for taxes or for calculating your profitability, but you also have that picture that you snapped of that receipt is attached to the invoice in Xero. So if for some reason, you ever got audited, it's all right there. And all you have to do is pull it up, and it's an actual record of the transaction, not just a credit card statement.
Right. That's so important and so easy,
Right.
Like so easy with my construction company. Getting the guys to turn in their receipts sometimes is like a nightmare.
Yes. Yes. So this is an on-the-go thing. You can use the app. The other side of the coin is that, if you, for instance, if you have a subscription to an app, a web expense that you use where you get your invoice from them in your email, they have an email address that's exclusive to you, and you can just forward that invoice straight into Receipt Bank, and it does the same process and attaches that invoice to your transaction in Xero.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And then as far as the bank feeds go, you asked about PayPal. They do have bank feeds for PayPal, and that is a good way to keep up with either, if you're paying people through PayPal, or if you're receiving a lot of your income through PayPal. Right. Because, this is something that I found out as I progressed in my business. As a bookkeeper, I help people do their 1099s at the end of the year. If they have contractors that they have paid, they have to send out a 1099 required by the IRS. But if you get paid through PayPal, your customer is not required to send you a 1099, but PayPal is not required to send you a 1099 either until you make at least $20,000 through them.
Oh, wow.
Right. So so I get paid as a contractor by my clients. And so they're required to send me a 1099 if they pay me either by check or by credit card, if they've paid me at least $600 throughout the year.
Right.
But if you're getting paid through a payment processor that they're not required to send you a 1099, the client is not required to send you a 1099. Well, that payment processor is not required to send you a 1099 until that $20,000 threshold is met. So you have to keep track of your income paid through those processing channels. You're not guaranteed to receive a thing that says, well, you've been paid this much money, this year. Right. You need to file that on your taxes. So it's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize, that there's this big gap between those requirements, depending on how you get paid.
Well, and the IRS isn't going to take the excuse of, well, I didn't get a 1099 from them, so I didn't know. Right. They don't care about that.
Yeah, the IRS, the individual taxpayer, the individual business owner is completely responsible for their tax filing, even if they have an accountant. They do not take that excuse, well, my accountant was supposed to do it and I thought they were going to do it. You're still responsible for those payments and making those filings on time, even if you thought somebody else, you were paying somebody else to do that for you.
Right.
So, yeah.
A lot to know, you guys, a lot to know, but it doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to be difficult. So if you guys are looking for an online bookkeeper who can help you out, I highly suggest that you guys reach out to Trinity. Where is the best place for everybody to find you?
So I have a website, www.t3bookkeeping.com, and bookkeeping is 2 O's, 2 K's, and 2 E's. So it, and then I am on Facebook, also, just T3 Bookkeeping, and I'm on Twitter too, at T3 Bookkeeping. So
perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. I love that. And you guys, make sure you guys reach out. Make sure if you guys have any questions about if hiring a bookkeeper is the right fit for you at this time, she'll definitely let you know if you need her or not, and get you guys started on what sounds like a really, really easy path to get going. Right.
Yeah. And even if you're not big enough, to work with me yet, if you've got your stuff pretty controlled, that is, it's not a lot of volume yet. It's always good to get that system in place, whether it's Xero or QuickBooks or some other app, because eventually, you are going to grow. I mean, that's our goal, right? Being in business, being entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And, so if you get that system in place now, you won't have to worry about it down the line when you're so overwhelmed with clients who are going, hey, or customers, I want what you have, and that's the point where you're so busy, you can't get to the important back office stuff, the working on your business as opposed to in your business, so
agree.
So now is the time to start that up. And what I like to do, it's so important is, and what I love to work with new clients, but if they can't, afford somebody right now, I'm always happy to help them. I have a beginner package, help them set it up and get going on their own until they feel like they're in a place to have somebody help them.
Perfect. Yes. And I feel like, too, just speaking solely from experience, even if you're not doing a lot of volume right now, getting used to and creating the habits of tracking your expenses and your income are going to serve you well long-term as well. So definitely reach out and at least get started in this. I don't even know what the right word is, but just, it's a good business practice, really.
Right. Yes. You can't, that's another thing that the IRS will look at. Are you taking this business seriously,
mm-hmm.
or is this a hobby?
Right.
And one of the ways you can show that you're taking it seriously is, do you have a separate business checking account? Do you have bookkeeping set up? Are you keeping good records of all your expenses, all of your income? Just having those simple things in place. If the IRS ever came knocking and said, hey, you claimed, you filed this schedule this year and you claim this is a business, but, you're taking a big loss on it. We think this is a hobby and we're going to challenge this, and then if you didn't have all that in place, they can disallow that huge loss that you've had on your business, and it will fall back on you in your personal taxes,
Yeah, creating a huge payout back to them, probably.
Right. And then the penalties on top of that, all the things that the IRS can hit you with, so yeah.
Yeah, so important, you guys. I can't even stress how important it is to have all your ducks in a row when it comes to your accounting and your taxes and all of that stuff. I know it, like I said, it's the unsexy side of things, but it's still part of running and operating a real business. So thank you so much, Trinity, for shedding all this light and giving us all this really great information. I'm so excited to check out Xero and stay in touch with you.
Right. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm happy to teach anybody about Xero and about, the importance of keeping track of books. So, yeah. And I actually am also a QuickBooks online certified advisor. I just really prefer Xero. That's my preferred platform. I think it's so much easier for the business owner to operate in, as well as the accountant. Mm-hmm. And there's some differences in pricing between the two programs. And one of those is that, Xero, you can have unlimited users. So when you, as the business owner, are a user, and then you can add your accountant or your bookkeeper as a user, and they don't charge you extra. You can add in any employees that might be helping you invoice or helping you keep track of inventory or any of those things, and they don't charge you extra for those users. So,
do they offer payroll services?
So Xero used to have a payroll module inside the bookkeeping, and they didn't bring it all the way to the point where they were happy with it. So what they've done is they've teamed up really closely with Gusto, and Gusto is the preferred provider of Xero, and they have a very tight integration. You can click into your Gusto account from your Xero account directly. There's a universal login between the two programs. But then also, if for some reason you looked at Gusto and it's not a good fit for you, you can choose whatever payroll platform you choose to use, and there will probably be some type of integration that you can bring into your bookkeeping. So the tight integration with Gusto is really cool. I love Gusto. I work with Gusto. I have several clients on Gusto, but I also have one or two clients on other payroll platforms, and it makes it super easy to be able to do that bookkeeping and not have to do double entry. Not have to do it in one program and then go do it in the other program to keep track of things. So
nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much that was like so much information, and it's so valuable. So anybody who has like already started their business or is ready to scale up or whatever, you guys, seriously, this is so important. So thank you again. I'm so excited to stay in touch with you and learn more about your services and Xero.
All right. Thank you so much, Amie.
You're so welcome.